Hi, how are you doing today? Paul Adepoju here, bringing you another episode of the Paul Talk Science podcast. And I have an interesting topic and an important guest that I'm hosting today. But before we go to that conversation, let me lay the groundwork for this very, very relevant topic. When we talk about the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the African continent, specifically the continent's research capacity, the continent's rapidly expanding genomic sequencing capacity is one of the topics that people do mention when this is raised. And because of the fact that a lot of African countries decided to quickly acquire genomic sequencing capacities, the number of sites where this procedure can be done in Africa has astronomically increased since the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic. But a true assessment of how durable and how relevant this market is, and of course how profitable it is from the broader perspective, is to hear from the manufacturers and new entries into the market. While there are lots of major markets or major players in the African markets already that are making genomic sequencing equipment and capabilities available to countries across Africa, we are also seeing the emergence of new players, one of which is MGI. Although the company was founded in 2016, it is now present in at least 6 continents. In Africa, it also has its footprint in several African countries, and one of where this footprint its presence is highly felt is in South Africa. And in this podcast, I spoke to Alukhethi Singo, who is MGI's field application scientist in South Africa, on the potentials of this technology, the current applications in South Africa, the potentials of Africa's genomic sequencing market, and other matters arising. We also ventured into discussions around South Africa's bigger plan for genomic sequencing in the country, and other matters arising that put Africa's genomic sequencing capabilities, the sector, its professionals, and this sector's potentials in the short perspective. So I welcome you to this edition, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. So yes, thank you very much, Alukhethi. I hope I pronounced that really, really well, or you can manage that pronunciation.
Perfectly. That's perfect.
Okay. Okay. So I think a point that I would like us to start with from the tech point of view is we have loads of tech in the market, and from your understanding of the technology, so what would you say is unique about this technology that enables it to be able to serve the purpose that the scientists are trying to use it for?
Okay. So with MGI, we are the manufacturer of sequencing technologies. So with our sequencing technologies, what makes it to stand out the most is our chemistry to do sequencing as compared to their other competitors. So if I were to be more technical about it, so I would say that like we are the only people with the very same technology that we're using, which makes our sequencing to be more precise, sensitive to the data in questions. And also at the same time, it offer precisions to our customers. So whatever that the customers are looking for, they will definitely know that there is less duplication rate and error rate with their results.
Yes, and thank you very much. So let's talk about the tech aspect of what the scientists are trying to do with the elite controllers. So from what can you share with me from the technical perspective?
Basically, what the research scientists are trying to do with the tech controllers, the elite controllers, so they are trying to sequence and identify the genetic variation in the HIV genome of our patients. We already had with the previous speakers, Prof. Veron and also Rizwana, that there were some individuals. Actually, in South Africa, we're finding that there are more individuals who are showing to have like they don't need in essence they don't need like the antiretroviral to suppress their viral load. Even without the drugs, they are able to suppress their viral load very well. So what they are doing is to assess what kind of mutations or variation does their gene possess that makes them to stand out, or to be able to suppress the viral load without any antiretroviral drugs. So they use our sequencing technology to check the mutations that each of these patients might be having, in the hope that probably we can use that to cure HIV in the near future. With our current project, with the project that Veron is leading, they are using MGI sequencing technology, the G400, DNB-seq G400, which is placed at the SMRC, and that has been the technology that was able to assess this variation from our customers.
Yes, thank you very much. One of the reasons why I said I'm really curious to speak to you is I know there are other sequencing technologies in South Africa and also in the broader sequencing ecosystem of the African continent. We have lots of players that are actively involved, and one of they always complain about a lot of challenges regarding the high costs of being able to pull off sequencing and access to support services, especially when after-sales services, when things go wrong, and supporting also getting the best out of their technologies. So looking at the different numerous problems that somebody like you would actually be aware of regarding the sequencing ecosystem in South Africa and to a large extent the other parts of the African continent, what is MGI's unique solutions to these problems?
It's not a lie, and it's not a secret that sequencing is still very expensive at this point in time. And we have got currently a lot of emerging competitors in the market. And we do understand the frustrations that our customers do have, that it's expensive, there is low capacity of sequencing in Africa. So we have tailor-made proposals for them, such as placement to their lab, so they can be able to do sequencing for their patients or for their clients. So and our technology, we can actually also say that it is very competitive currently in the market, as per our customers also commenting about it. So that gives them eligibility to be able to sequence without having to worry about securing a lot of funding in order to be able to afford this. We also do know that there is low capacity in Africa in general. And with MGI, we are also trying to get into different countries in Africa in order to increase capacity. So the challenges that we do face in Africa is, I already said, it's not a secret that sequencing is still very expensive. So it needs a lot of funding in order to proceed with it for our researchers and also for diagnostic labs. It's not a secret that sequencing is still very expensive for everyone, including the Africans. And as MGI, we have tailor-made proposals for our customers so they can be able to afford to sequence within the country, instead of sending our samples to Europe or to America for sequencing. So that has enabled our a project like this to be run with ease. And the other thing that we do note is also the fact that there is a shortage of sequencing capacity across Africa, not only in South Africa. Having the MGI technology and being competitive in the market allows a lot of our customers to be able to establish their own sequencing lab and help to increase sequencing capacity for those specific countries. we do have several projects that we look into in order to help with disease, infectious disease such as HIV, to surveillance for surveillance, basically, and also for instance the project that we are here about.
Can we do a market comparison in terms of has your own technology gotten much cheaper than what is available in the market elsewhere? Or is it still almost the same pricing?
I think relatively we're very competitive currently in the market, as compared to the competitors. The most important thing for sequencing is, if you can be able to afford the instrument, then you still need to worry about securing funding to run the instrument. So the running cost of the sequencing, getting the reagents and running the samples, that becomes another issue. So at this present time, with us, you're able to get the instrument with whichever proposal that we are able to offer to you, depending on your situation. And the most important thing is you need to be able to run that sequencer. We make sure that our customers are able to run that sequencer. So the cost of running our sequences currently in the market is currently very competitive.
On MGI's website, I'm seeing loads of unique applications of this sequencing technology. I know there is probably in different parts of the world. I've seen one on HIV genotyping, drug resistance, surveillance, and several others. So what is the plan for South Africa? So is it just the Halite controllers that you are currently involved with, or there are other applications and that is ongoing for the technology in the country?
Yeah. So the Elite controller is one of the many projects that we are involved with. We have a lot of customers currently, upcoming customers, new customers with new installations, and older customers who are offering services. So besides HIV, there are COVID-related projects that most of our customers are also doing, clinical projects, drug susceptibility for different types of diseases, surveillance of environmental, COVID-related diseases. So there are a lot of projects. Just to mention a few, that our customers are able to do, to sequence using our platforms.
And, okay, there is also this question that I have, which is, where does MGI's technology stand in being able to communicate with other sequencing data done by other platforms? We have, I think one of the outcomes of my interview with Reese yesterday was that this initiative is part of a bigger plan in South Africa to enhance the whole genome sequencing landscape. So, and which means other institutions that are using tech, other tech, would also be contributing to this. So, how does that intercommunication and synchronization of MGI Tech with other platforms, how does that look at the moment?
Yeah. So with the upcoming project, like the South African 110K project that is upcoming, will definitely entail that there are different types of competitors who will be playing part in the project, and so is MGI. So this just shows and indicate to the community out there that we are also the main player in the market, and we are being recognized to play part in big projects like this. So this speaks a lot of volume about our data quality, sequencing affordability, like our competitiveness in the market currently. And at the same time, we'll also need to, having been, may probably say that we're still fairly new in the market. So it shows that the market has welcomed our technology with open arms, and they are happy to proceed with us in such a very huge project for the South Africans.
Going forward, can you share about MGI's ambitious plan, not just for South Africa, for other African countries? Because I know there is an Africa-wide genomic project, Africa-wide genomic initiative ongoing, and one of the things that they're trying to do is to interconnect and synchronize Africa's genomic data. So, what is MGI's Africa-wide strategy and goals that you can share with me at the moment?
Yeah. We are also part of the big Africa Biogenome project, which, like you said, is trying to synchronize the whole genome of African people. So that is a very big deal for us as MGI, in order to help or to contribute our bit in making sure that Africans also have access to precision medicine, and will be able to understand more the genomes of African people in order to personalize their medicine, and at the same time to understand their genomic makeup, which will offer a lot of compensation on how we proceed in a variety of issues, such as drugs, offering drugs to specific diseases that probably would work well within Europe, the European countries, because they already have that, but in Africa we don't have. So we're very proud to be part of this, and to contribute our bit in making sure that the African Biogenome project is a success. And furthermore, in terms of our future plan, we just recently launched our new desktop sequencer, which is focused mostly for the African population, the small labs, clinical labs such as for HIV and TB labs. So this will definitely help a lot for hospitals or diagnostic labs those who couldn't afford to get the larger sequencing for medium and high throughput sequencing, to be able to sequence and give results to their patients in time, with also certainty of what is really happening in terms of either viral load or the mutations or whatever that is happening within their patients.
Yes, okay. So this particular technology, and I think from a technology perspective, there has been a lot of advancement in genomics, and we have loads of information from the organism perspective. Probably because of the sizes of the genomes of bacterium, viruses, which are much smaller compared to the human genome. And which means, will this desktop thing be capable of the human genome? And do you think, yes, so what are your thoughts regarding this? Because it seems as if advancement is now tailored towards this whole genome, human genome approach. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, there are two main aspects when it comes to sequencing that we will have to look into. there is the whole genome sequencing, and then there is sequencing of diseases. So with the smaller desktop sequencer that I've just mentioned, it's more focused on disease sequencing. Like for instance, I've just mentioned the HIV and TB. And for whole genome sequencing, we're looking into our medium to high throughput sequencers that we have currently in the market that are able to handle well, like the bigger genome of human, if I have to say that, as compared to those of microorganisms. So in this instant, we also have like launched sequences which in terms of the HIV genome whole genome project, we use the G400, which is very capable of handling such project. We have got the T7, which is currently in the market, and also very capable to handle for high capacity laboratories doing whole genome sequencing. And hopefully that will be the main sequencer that we can probably recommend for larger projects, the African Biogenome or the 110K project. So we in MGI we offer from low to medium to high throughput sequencers, which are suitably designed for each customer's needs. So from small throughput lab to high throughput lab, our customers are able to be catered for, and their needs are able to be met. Yeah.
Yes, I'm also curious about the market entry, how that looked like, so that it can be an idea about engaging in Africa, the current status of African governments and institutions, positioning and openness to those kinds of technology. You know, sometimes in some circles, when you talk about precision medicine, something that can lead to precision medicine, it may sound like a fancy technology, not something that is urgently needed or is crucial to the needs of that country at that time, especially considering African governments perceived so focused on emergency response. So what was that experience like for you?
Lucky enough, when I started working in the industry, there had been a lot of buzz about sequencing, and it had been a responsibility for us as suppliers to share our knowledge of what this sequencing is all about, educate our customers and what they can be able to do with the sequencers, and what kind of breakthrough they can have in terms of from their projects if they are using the sequencing technology, and that had been very well received by our customers, because already there was a buzz outside there in other continents, except in Africa. And we show the willingness from them to learn, and the willingness to be part of this technology and owning the technology, and irrespective of where the sequencer is coming from. The most important thing that we had to do as suppliers was to share the knowledge and develop the knowledge capacity within the African continent, which at this present moment everything is going well. We can see that there is a lot of developments in terms of a lot of projects that are using sequencing in order to attain their data for their projects, starting from the research industry, the clinical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the environmental industry. So this definitely entails that there had been a lot of shift from the norm, which was at the time having to do PCR, to moving to such a complex. I used to be thought to be a complex technology, but a very understandable in a way, which offers a lot of data to what could not have been if the previous technologies were employed.
So, will you describe MGI as a late entry into the African markets, considering there have been other players that have probably achieved lots of collaborations? And if you agree, do you think the market is still large enough to accommodate loads of players, and that will give us an impression regarding the addressable markets on the continent?
Yeah. I think currently there isn't, the market is not really overwhelmed with sequencing with our current players in the market. We still even seeing a lot of other emerging companies that offer sequencing technology. The reason why we would say that maybe there was an influx was because of low sequencing capacity. There were few sequencing customers or companies or service providers are in the market. But now, as for now, we're seeing that a lot of people are moving towards sequencing, and a lot of people are open to converting their previous lab, PCR lab, into sequencing the lab. So there is enough pie for everybody to partake from. And I wouldn't really say that maybe we're still fairly new, but we're not really new anymore because there are still other new now in the market.
Okay, I'll take that. Then, with this, can we attribute the interest in sequencing to the COVID pandemic? And also going forward, how much difference do you think this embracement of sequencing on the continent would start transforming into impactful solutions that Africans can start benefiting from?
Yeah. Just to go back to 2020, a lot of people didn't know, like normal people from other industries like the accountants, engineers, they were not aware about the concept of sequencing. But we're very confident right now that a lot of people understand what sequencing is all about because of how the suppliers from people from different companies or different suppliers came together and contribute their bit in resolving the COVID pandemic. We saw how important sequencing is in order to understand the variants that we were dealing with for each period of time from the inception of the pandemic until when we came out of the pandemic, and how this has helped us. It has leapfrogged us in a way that a lot of people adopted the concept of sequencing immediately to be able to participate or to help combat the pandemic. And now that the pandemic is over, a lot of customers are looking into other various projects that they can be able to use their sequencing technology. And in a way, like that has helped a lot to increase the sequencing capacity in Africa, and also to share the knowledge of what sequencing is all about to everyone, basically. Yeah.
Okay, so the other part of the question was, how soon do you think we'll start seeing the impact of this embracement of sequencing technology on the continent?
I think we already started seeing it. It has been over 3 years since the start of the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, and a few labs are still dealing with COVID-19 related projects, but most labs that were employed for COVID-19 have moved into other projects, and that has helped increase the sequencing capacity. So this part is what shows us that we have moved significantly from where we were before COVID in terms of sequencing capacity, the knowledge about sequencing, embracing the technology itself, and also the competitiveness of us as MGI in the market to welcome the newcomers who wants to do sequencing for their project. So I would definitely say we have moved far from where we were to where we are right now. It's a big milestone.
So, second to last question: do you think Africa's with experience now? Do you think the continent is now a viable market for sequencing supplies chain?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I stay in South Africa, so having been in the industry for almost like 9 years now, I would definitely say that Africa it's a viable market for the sequencing technology, and with the willingness and the openness. Although we do have issues related to the availability of funding across Africa, but we do think that for instance, I've mentioned that I stay in South Africa, so the government in South Africa do play a large role in accelerating research and by offering funding for laboratories or researchers who wants to be part and parcel for big projects such as the 110K projects or any related that will need the use of sequencing. So yeah, I think there is. We are in a comfortable space.
Bringing back to this precision medicine bit, I think it's been intentionally now presented as one of the next chapters for Africa's medicine, healthcare sector. And I think the South African experience could actually be an eye-opening to the potentials of where we can potentially get to on the continent. So what are your expectations? What are you hoping? What are your wildest dreams in the best case scenario? And what can we realistically achieve?
Africa as a continent has been burdened by disease, and with my background in microbiology, it somehow has brought me to be more interested in learning and understanding more about sequencing and where we can go with sequencing in order to resolve the disease burdens in Africa. So in my wildest dream, I'm hoping that we can be able to see sequencing resolve such disease burdens in Africans in terms of being able to, tracking transmission pathways in the vaccine development for personalized medicines, being able to detect viral load and diversity with ease, and being able to monitor the drug resistance and also mutations from our patients, which will help a lot in being able to personalize their medicines. And the other part is being able to see a breakthrough with HIV being cured. That will be the biggest milestone that we could ever be able to experience as Africans or as humans, because let's face it, as much as we do have the antiretrovirals or drugs that are able to help with HIV, having to hear that you are HIV positive, for people who are HIV positive, you can see that as much as we do preach, or the health departments try their best to get the message out there that it's not a death sentence, but they just cannot help. A lot of us do know people family and friends who have passed on to HIV, and some who are living with HIV, and you also do see the struggle every single day of those people having to come to terms with what they are faced with at this point in time. It is the unknown. What we know currently is the fact that we can be able to prolong their lives with these drugs, but we want something that is like a permanent solution. And I'm hoping that with sequencing we can be able to to reach our goals in terms of this.
Thanks so much, Alu. It was really, really nice talking to you. It was a really nice conversation. I enjoyed every part of it. And that's it from me.